Today I want to talk about falling is harder than fighting. And what I mean by this is when we're tempted, when we're fighting temptation, it's easier to fight that temptation for the hour or the day or however long the temptation there. It's easier to fight the temptation than it is to fall to that temptation and to get back up. Because when we fall to temptation, we get drained and we get filled with guilt and shame and regret and all these dreadful feelings. And it really holds us back from getting back up. That's how the enemy designed it. That's the enemy's plan, is to get us to fall. And once we fall, he tries to keep us there because he doesn't want us going back to God. He wants to keep us in his possession. And that's what I want to talk about. Because when we're tempted, right, the temptation only shows us the reward. It only shows us our desire, right? What we want. But it doesn't show us the aftermath. It's like a privacy window, right? You can see through one way, but you can't see in the other way, right? You can only see half of it. Right? So temptation tells us that it's going to be good and that it's not that serious, and we try and justify all these things. But it doesn't show us the regret. It doesn't show us the shame. It discourages us, right? And it fills us with all these terrible feelings. And it makes this massive struggle to get back up. It makes it so hard. And it promises us this pleasure, right? But it doesn't show us everything that's going to come with it. And after experiencing this so many times, like personally, and I'm sure a lot of you guys too, but you'll know there's consequences, and that'll be one of the things that holds you back from falling, right? You know that when you fall, you're going to struggle with all these things, and that's one thing that holds you back. And let me explain a verse that kind of goes with this, and this is Hebrews 12 verse 1, where it tells us, "Let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us." So notice the word entangles, right? And the sin that so easily entangles. It doesn't mean that sin just trips us, right? It weighs us down. It entangles us. It holds us there, right? And it makes the race harder, right? We have to push through all those vines that we're entangled in that are holding us down, right? So it's important to understand that we're not just choosing the moment, but we're choosing everything that comes after the moment, all the consequences of it. All right, and then we need to understand the accusations of our enemy after we fall, right? So before the fall, like during the temptation, he tries to tempt us into it. He tries to justify it, and he tells us it's not a big deal and that God will forgive us and his mercy is infinite and all these baloney sayings, right? And then after the sin, he tells us, look what you've done. You've messed up everything. And God is so disappointed with you. God doesn't want you back and you'll never change, right? All this crazy stuff, like trying to get us there. He's going to fill us with these terrible feelings. But before, right, he's telling us, doesn't matter. It's okay. God will forgive you, right? So he minimizes it beforehand, but then he magnifies the failure after, and he magnifies all the terrible things that we've done, right? And then look at Genesis 3, right? Where Adam and Eve are in the Garden of Eden and they hide themselves from God, right? After they sinned and they ate the apple, they hide themselves with the trees and plants, right? Because they're shameful that they're naked, right? They felt exposed. They felt guilty, right? And instead of running towards God, running towards him, asking like, oh, we messed up, and acknowledging what they did, right? They run away and they try and hide. But God came looking for them, right? God didn't leave them. He didn't leave the Garden of Eden and say, this sucks and I got to move on, right? I'm disappointed in them and I can't forgive them, right? He came towards them and he asked, where are you, right? He's trying to find them. He was pursuing them. And a lot of Christians, when they fall, right, they think the same thing. They're like, I don't deserve to pray. God doesn't love me anymore because I messed up everything. All this stuff. But these are the moments that we need God the most. This is when we need to rely on God the most out of any other time. And this is something that I've struggled with a lot over my faith, right? I'll fall and I'll just get absolutely drained of all my strength, right? Before I'm even tempted, I'm usually doing pretty good, right? I'm reading the word consistently, praying consistently, right? And I'm doing pretty good. I'm being pretty strong. And then I get tempted, and previously, right, I've recently made a bunch of videos about guarding our hearts, so I've been trying to apply that to my life too. But previously, I never knew any of that. So I didn't guard my heart properly, and the temptation got so strong at times where I would fall. And after I fell, I would just be filled with so much guilt and shame, right? Like, as we all have whenever we fall, right? It's just that feeling, like, and then you just get drained. And me personally, I just get drained of all my strength, and I just feel like staying there because I don't feel like coming back to God. I feel like God doesn't care anymore. Like, I just messed everything up, and I might as well stay here, right? And the sins affects our minds, our emotions, our confidence. It affects everything, right? And now you're not only fighting the temptation as you was before, but now you're fighting everything that I've explained that comes after the sin, right? The discouragement, shame, regret, everything. And the battle becomes a lot harder, and that's what I'm trying to say. It becomes harder and bigger, and that's why it's just easier to fight the temptation, man. And like I was saying previously, I haven't been guarding my hearts properly, but now that I've created the series about guarding our hearts, you guys should go check that out. I have more knowledge on the fact. I know what to avoid. I know kind of how to guard myself so that the temptation doesn't even get big enough to where I fall, right? But that's why it's so important, right? Guarding our hearts is so important because we're preventing that temptation. We're preventing the possibility of even falling from a super strong temptation, right? And just being able to prevent it is so much easier than fighting the temptation. And fighting the temptation is easier than getting back up. And a good verse for this is Proverbs 4:23, where it tells us, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. And I explained this verse in my previous videos. I'll quickly touch on it, meaning this means that whatever we let into our heart is flowing from it. So if we let in temptation and if we let in our struggles from our past, that's what's going to flow from it. We're going to be more tempted, more inclined to do those things. But if we let in God, if we let in good friendships, if we let in good things, right, that's what's going to flow from it. So it's just kind of how it works. And he's just trying to protect us and show the importance of the heart in that verse. And that's because it truly is so important. It truly decides our actions in the future. So make sure you guys are guarding your hearts properly. And like I was saying, whenever I fell in the past, I always thought, I've already fallen. Let me just stay here. Let me just get back on my feet. Let me just get back on my feet, get comfortable, right? Then I'll get back up. But in Proverbs chapter 24, verse 16, it tells us, for the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again, but the wicked stumble when calamity strikes. And it's not telling us that the righteous never fail, that they never struggle, but saying they rise again and they get up. And getting back up is what defines a righteous person, not the failure. So I just wanted to talk about this lesson that I've learned over my faith, is that it's better to fight the temptation, better to protect your hearts than it is to fall and get back up. So if you're struggling right now, just fight that temptation, rely on God, replace the bad things with scripture, and I hope you guys get through. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for the next one.